Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 and good evening, and welcome to Faith and Politics with me, Eileen. We are here in 2026. Can you believe it, y'all? Welcome to 2026. This is episode 42. It is Hello 2026. I have not seen y'all since the end of 2025, and I'll tell y'all why. I've had some stuff going on, so I'm really excited to jump on and let y'all know. But we are live right now on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Hey, everybody. And of course, Podbean. So we are live on, you can catch up on any of the shows if you have missed out on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Music, Podbean. Of course, we're here now. Player FM, Listen Notes, Pod Chaser, and Boom Play. I have a really great show for you today, and I'm really excited about it. We have a lot of stuff to kind of catch up on. In 2026, New Orleans has been a hot mess. It will continue to be a hot mess. That is the prophecy, the word from the Lord. So you can bank on that. But today we're going to kind of get into an update. What's God going on? So I will give y'all that. I'll let y'all know what I've been doing because I'm sure you saw that I posted a small business mastery toolkit. I'm really excited to offer that. It's only $30 and it's about 21 pages of small business information that'll be helpful to anyone, no matter kind of where you are in your business. It'll probably be most helpful for new small businesses, just because I do have that a small business checklist. Hey, how are y'all? I missed y'all. I feel like, I kind of had the pull of the holidays and wanting to spend time with family and stuff. And when I tell you what I've been doing, you'll really be like, well, actually, as you see, I created the toolkit over the holidays, and I have some workshops and stuff for you. So y'all will love that. Of course, we have the book Faith in Politics, and want to do an update on the city of New Orleans where we are because we have a lot of stuff popping. Hey, Trace, hey, y'all! It's 2026. I was writing a date today, and I was like, wait, let me make sure I get this date right, y'all. It's been a trip. So I'm gonna give you an update on what's going on in the city of New Orleans because there's a lot of stuff uh, uh, going on, and it's funny because when I give words, like I feel like I give them so much earlier than they happen sometimes. People forget or just you're like, oh, this didn't happen. I'm like, no, it's really happening. Even the removing and replacing that I've been talking about for a while. I mean, we now see it on a global scale. When we give prophetic words, a lot of them are corporate. I'm giving them to New Orleans, and there is a lot of New Orleans specific information, but a lot of my words are corporate. So when I say there's a removing and replacing and there's a change of the guards, that's not just for New Orleans. This is my region, so this is who I'm speaking to, but this is a corporate word. So we see it in Venezuela, right? And you're going to see a lot more heads of state per se, whether they're diabolical or whatever they've kind of been doing. Like you see the stuff happen in Nigeria as well. The Lord is removing and replacing. Everybody is not going to like how it happens. You're going to feel a little bit like it's judgment for those people who may need to repent and just to get in order. But the Lord is correcting us, and it just kind of is what it is. And if you are very uncomfortable in it and you're fighting it, it's just going to be harder. So I urge everyone to yield, surrender, and to not jump to conclusions when you see these things on the news, because the news and the media globally is really meant to drive fear through all of us. And the Lord tells us what? Do not fear. So if something's driving you to fear, that should be like a wake up call for you. Like, wait, this is not what I need to be doing. So I wasn't going all the way there, but look how we just went into that. But I did want to also get into this show some stuff that's going on with regard to the city of New Orleans with the prophecy as well. The removing and replacing, as well as the Lord said, 2026 was a year of judgment for New Orleans, and the cleanse was coming from New Orleans. We saw that, starting immediately after the election. I did not know it was going to come that quickly and start hitting us, but we know the letters for people even being laid off has already started to go out. So the cleanse is here for New Orleans. It's going to be a rough year for those who don't understand what's going on, but it's here. But for those who are kingdom, who are walking with the Lord, and or if you aren't and you're like, wait, now's I need the time to get it together. This is a year of order. The Lord is realigning us in his order because we've been so out of order. Gosh, I didn't know I was going to say this because I really wasn't. But even with this whole controversy with the first lady who, and I put that in quotation marks because that's for a whole nother reason, but the first lady of the church in Atlanta who wore that dress. And I'm like, y'all, I mean, people can have their opinions, but our opinions don't matter. What does God say about it? We can all have an opinion. She has an opinion. Her husband has an opinion. And of course, they don't want to be corrected. But what does God say about that? And that is just not how we are supposed to be presenting ourselves if we are a reflection of Him. It's just period. That's what He says. He says dressed in a modest way. And so if you thought that was modest, then you and the Lord need to have a different conversation. But we know what that is. So the Lord is, I gave that example to show us that the Lord is putting on display what is exactly in front of our eyes. So if you want to accept the okie doke, you can, but know you're on team Satan. There's only two teams. And people get like on edge when I say things like that, but maybe that's what it takes. You need to know what's really going on. You need to know the definitions and use the real words like biblically. God calls people a fool. I've been a fool in my life. I try not to be one. I am a sinner. We are all sinners. And so when we kind of get over the fact that we can't call ourselves these things, we think too much of ourselves. Pride is a problem. And maybe we can yield and surrender to the Lord and let Him direct our path. So I didn't know I was going to start out the gate with all that, but that's what it is. And so it's really kind of interesting. I'm going to actually jump into the show about what's going on, and I was kind of giving it globally, so I'm just going to kind of keep going with that. But I'll say New Orleans and then globally with Venezuela. But New Orleans is it's a reap what you sow season. And so if you see a lot of our I don't even say new leaders, this new administration is going to be a lot of our old leaders who actually sowed into this situation that the city is in now. So I am speaking prophetically, as well as what's going on in the city of New Orleans, so you can kind of see exactly what it is. So they are reaping what they sowed. You created this, so now you're going to have to fix it. That's what God said, because whether you like the new incoming mayor or not, who gets inaugurated on Monday, it was not the choice of the Lord. She is in disobedience. That's for another show, but it is what it is. And the cleanse is here for New Orleans. And so a lot of exposure, a lot of things are going to be coming out. They will not have a comfortable administration. We already have the state here, who's basically, like they said, camped out at City Hall. They are literally going to find everything. That is what they're looking for, and the Lord has created it to get New Orleans in order. People talk about the corruption in New Orleans and residents. We just seem to accept it, like, oh, we're supposed to do this. Why do we accept it? Like, at what point is it okay? From administration to administration to administration. And so I'm going to switch a little spiritual on it, so you can see it from a two-pronged way. Okay, so if you have any understanding of prophetic things or spiritual, let's say they have generational curses. Well, New Orleans has generational curses. Think about the witchcraft in New Orleans and how it's been done for generations and generations. And whether you agree with it or not, there's a lot of Christianity that has gotten mixed in with paganism. And so a lot of people in New Orleans honestly don't even know what they're doing, and have opened things that they can't close that affect them and their families. And they think that they're doing something to protect themselves, and they're really not. A lot of us have gotten the okie doke. And so that's in our private lives, but that's also with regard to systems in the city of New Orleans and the city as a whole. You have strongholds over regions. And so the witchcraft is one of the strongholds over the city of New Orleans, and the Lord is knocking out witchcraft. They're losing their power, and so they're looking for it in every other way. That's why you see a lot of people popping off in the city of New Orleans. That's why you see a lot of these arguments and these fights. The Lord's kind of showing you who's who. People who say that, I'm for God and all this. Well, would you be arguing back and forth online, calling people A, B, C, D, and E? No, that is not the Lord. That is not a fruit of the Spirit. So He's putting people on blast and saying, are they showing you their fruits? And making you choose, pick a team. Now is the time to pick a team. Well, it's been time, but we have up until this second to do it. And people are really losing, let's say this, it will be calamity after calamity after calamity. I said this last year, but I'm just kind of bringing it back up. The Lord has released the spirits of truth and death another wave of it. Like he does it on, on different levels, but he has released another wave of it. And so a lot of people have seen a lot of people passing away. They're for different reasons, so it's not like, I'm pointing fingers or anything like that. Some of the Lord is, taking them home, and a lot of it, it's like you haven't done what you're supposed to do and you're not getting it together, so I'm going to remove you. And so that is another part of removing and replacing. You can see that a lot. You had a lot of our real estate I don't want to say gurus, but heads of real estate in New Orleans either pass away or, leave their positions. Think about that. You have a lot of these hotel with when Yeager passed away. Let's give that as an example. He owned so many hotels and all these things, but with him passing, the release of all these New Orleans properties were able to have new ownership and new development. Even the Navy base and the Plaza Tower in New Orleans. Think about how long that they have been in limbo. Well, the person who owned them passed away, was that last year, and so there's new movement on that. That's just an example of a removing and replacing. You could look in the news yesterday. McGlinchey Stafford, which is one of the major law firms in New Orleans, they decided that they're going to dissolve the law firm. I mean, like this is like big news. Some of these large realty groups, like the heads are moving. You even have some, and this isn't just in business. This is across the board. This is systems. Even in churches, you're gonna have people who are going to be losing their churches. You have people who are leaving, and they have new people. Let's say Franklin Baptist. Pastor Luter is leaving, and his son is taking over. A change of the guard. You're going to be seeing this across the world. I generally do focus on New Orleans and don't really give a lot of global corporate words because people aren't paying attention to all that. But right now, the word does coincide with what we see with regard to Venezuela, the removing and replacing. He is not going to be the only, like I said, head of state. He wasn't the president. He was illegally there. So, people can start saying he was the president because he was not. And there will be a lot of people who are uncomfortable with what's going on. And so I ask you to check your hearts right now, because that's what God is really testing us on. When you see idols or people you like, or even like politicians that you may follow, they may be steering you in the wrong direction if they're not on Team God. God is not a Republican and he's not a Democrat. So it's not about party, but it is about a purpose and what he is doing to create his order. And God doesn't care if we like the president. He is the president right now. And so he is the one who is making decisions. And so if God's going to use him to remove somebody from a place, then that's just going to be the person he uses. God is not going to tap us on our shoulder and say, hey, what do you think about this? What's your opinion? Our opinion doesn't matter. So right now, President Trump has been used to remove the false president of Venezuela, and he will be used to remove and kind of disturb some other things globally. Some people will like it and some people won't. I urge you to speak to the Lord before you jump online and start going off, because the last thing you want to do is be on the other side of God's will. It is not fun and it will not work out for you. I can say there are large swaths of Americans. I'm not going to go into which group, but racially, there are large swaths of Americans who have been going against the will of God in certain things. I can give you a basic issue that, that people could understand. And it's not like, I guess it is a party issue because they try to make everything a party issue, but abortion, clearly the Lord does not agree with that. And so, as a party side, he doesn't rock like that. But let's go on the other side, racism and supremacy. He doesn't rock with that either. So God isn't about a party. He's about doing what's right for his people and his order and his will. And so that's a lot of 2026. Hello, 2026. That's what this is, episode 26. Episode 42 is Hello 2026, and that's what God is saying. Hello, wake up, get your mind right, and let's put this back in order, because we have been tripping for a very long time. So that is globally, all the way down to the local level, which includes our families. And so a lot of exposure will be coming out with regard to our families. A lot of maybe hidden information, generational curses and stuff, like you don't know why this happens in the family. Let me give you an example that people may not always notice. Like do you have a lot of women who are divorced in your family. And so they stay single for a long period of time. That's not God's natural order. His order is to have families come together and have a man and a woman, you have children under his covenant. And so when you have a family who, maybe all the men, they never get married, or the women, like their husbands pass away or something and they're single, or they always go through divorce, like something is up with that. And so the Lord is showing us the generational curses and what we need to repent and repair in our lives, and even with relationships, because he showed us a lot in 2025. He said, this is what's up. And we were supposed to guard our heart and create boundaries. And now is the time to learn from those things and turn around and build. 2026 is going to be a building season. And so it's crazy because as the Lord was giving me that word, it's funny because what was I doing? I was building a toolkit this past holiday season. I do not celebrate Christmas. It's actually a pagan holiday, going back to Saturnalia. I do always can find the silver lining in it, and I focus on Christ and the importance in yielding to him, because December 21st clearly is not his birthday. I mean, I don't, go back and forth with anyone who likes to celebrate, but my thing is just know what you're celebrating and make the decision for yourself. When you know better, you do better. And even 2026, this is the new numbered numerical year that we have created on earth. But the Lord's new year starts in the spring. And so when you start reading your Bible, you start like really kind of understanding these things and having different like aha moments. Because, I was like, y'all, you read your Bible and you start like, you be like, what? Because like stuff you thought it said, it does not say, because other people like repeat stuff. And when they repeat stuff so much, you're like, oh yeah, that's what it is. No, it's not what it is. Let me give you a simple one. When does the day start? Well, if you start in Genesis, and I mean like the beginning of the Bible, it goes, there was evening and then there was day. There was evening and then there was morning, the first day. There was evening and then there was morning, the second day. There was evening and then there was morning the third day. There was evening and then there was morning the fifth day. There was evening and there was morning the sixth day. So when does the day start? The day starts in the evening, per the Lord. But we have the day starting in the morning. So just like Sabbath is sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. That is a full day cycle. And so, when you mix up things like that, as human beings, we did that. We created our own cycles, but that's not what the Lord says, and that's not his cycles. So we've done a lot of that, and we just need to get back in order and get our mind right. So that's what the Lord is doing. It will be very uncomfortable for a lot of people, but if you are tapped in, then you know what's going on. And a lot of people are like, oh, she's talking all this spiritual stuff. What is going on? Like, why are you so whatever? Well, why do they have voodoo shops all over the city of New Orleans? How do they making all these money? They have all these card readers. They delve into witchcraft. They are just talking about the other side of what I'm talking about. Because as you really delve into like the spiritual world and understand what's going on, just like I said, there's two teams, and you realize there's team Jesus and team Satan. And so it's time for all of us to decide exactly what team we want to be on, and really walk that walk. So I urge all of you to do that. And so with that, I'm going to just kind of discuss and give you an update about the city of New Orleans. What is going on, y'all? I'm going to give you an update about the city of New Orleans, and then I'm going to delve into Carter Business Development. So if you have a small business and you are interested into some small business stuff, y'all are going to be excited, because I create a small business mastery toolkit. And what I'm going to do after I give like this short summary about what's been going on in the city of New Orleans, I'm going to break down the toolkit so you can know actually what is in it as a small business owner. How will it work out for you? And just to give y'all a little bit of information on what I've been doing, because I've been creating workshops for y'all, and I got some videos and stuff that I still need to complete to finalize some of that. But I'm just really excited that I was able to release a small business mastery toolkit this Monday, and it's only $30. And the link to it is right in my bio. So just hit the link, and it says right there $30, and you can get the the toolkit, and it will literally walk you through it. You can go at your own pace, or if you do need some help, you can always hire me and let me know what you need help with. And so you can reach me at Faith. Actually, my email for carterbusinessdev@gmail.com, carterbusinessdev@gmail.com. All of the information is in all of my posts. I try to put them on every platform so you can really see them and always go back and read them. And also, you can give me a call Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 at 504-434-2827. That is 504-434-2827. That is my business phone number. So we're going to just give a summary of what's been going on in the city of New Orleans, because as y'all know, we're getting a brand new mayor on Monday. Helena Moreno will be sworn in, and there was already interesting stuff going on in the transition, because today the city council delivered their last and final meeting in this administration, and it ended with a veto of one of the mayors, I should say an override of the mayor's veto with regard to purchasing certain stuff. And so it's just been a tit for tat with the city council and the mayor for so many years. It's just aren't y'all tired? Yeah, I'm tired too. We're just getting like a 2.0. So, but anyway, here is the summary to catch you up. In 2025, New Orleans ended the year with $166 million deficit. And if you think that's bad, well, guess what? We're starting 2026 with a $222 million deficit in the city of New Orleans. Layoffs have already begun. Letters have gone out. So 3 of the offices that the mayor-elect has decided to dissolve, here they are. I'm going to give you some information. Resilience and Sustainability. The Office of Resilience and Sustainability is being dissolved. Actually, our mayor-elect was actually the chair of the Resilience and Sustainability Committee on City Council. And I think it's very interesting because you should go check their minutes and their meetings. Wasn't a lot going on. But anyway, I digress. The Office of Youth and Families, the current mayor, Mayor Latoya Cantrell, created the Office of Youth and Families in 2018, and they will be dissolved upon her leaving office. So the current mayor will dissolve the Office of Youth and Families. They're going to keep, I guess, some components of it, and it's going to go in the health department. Also being dissolved is the Office of Criminal Justice Coordination. As y'all know, there wasn't a lot of coordinating going on in there. I spoke about it a lot during the recall, but that office is being dissolved as well. And I guess some components of it are being driven towards NOPD. So there will no longer be an Office of Criminal Justice Coordination, Office of Youth and Families, and Resilience and Sustainability. They're all being dissolved. Now, what's been going on this week in the city of New Orleans? Because if we didn't already have money problems, guess what? We had 2 more surprises this week. I know y'all were like, what? Yes, y'all. I told you we are going to have calamity after calamity after calamity. The God is not playing, and everybody thinks it's going to be, I don't know, a jog in the park, a skip in the park. I don't know, cartwheels, but it is not. God is not playing. They are being corrected, and it just is what it is. Like, I would not want to be her. I'm so glad the Lord had the election kind of go the way it is. Not that well, that's not who he wanted, so I shouldn't say that, but the shakings that are going to happen to New Orleans through 2026 are going to get a lot of people's minds right. Like, you're going to be like, that was nobody but God, and he's not playing. And if you're new here, it's called Faith in Politics because I talk faith and politics and business development. But that's what we talk here, and we connect it so you can understand and see for yourself. I do have a prophetic walk. I have an apostolic walk with the Lord, and I'm a seer. So it is what it is. He gives me revelation, visions, dreams, and all that. And some I am required to deliver. Sometimes I have to hold it to myself and just wait till and pray into it, or pray for people, or intercede. It depends on what he says, but it is what it is, and that's what I do. So if you're wondering. But this week in New Orleans, we had 2 bombs that were dropped. One, yesterday, and one today. So yesterday we found out that the money for the NOPD bonuses, the retention bonuses, was missing. It was like about $8 million for the NOPD police officers. They were all promised a 10,000 or a certain amount were promised a $10,000 retention bonus. They were looking for the money, and the money was there. That's problem. And so that's number one, and number two, the OIG realized that $770,000 it is now required to be, now residents like this is now required to be reimbursed to residents for the speed camera fines. They found out that when, like, the NOPD is supposed to check all the cameras, and so like some of them, like 23% of them were being checked in 3 seconds or less. How much checking were you really doing in that amount of time? We all know that, it wasn't what was, accurate. And so the OIG did a report, and he did an audit, and he found out that $770,000 needs to be returned to residents in the city of New Orleans. So that's wonderful for residents, but for the city of New Orleans, who is already cash strapped, that's another $1 million that's like out the window that they just don't know what to do with themselves. So New Orleans will be seeing a lot more of that. I really encourage each and every one of you to get my book, Faith in Politics. Did I bring it up here? Oh, actually I didn't. But to get the book, oh yeah, I do. I have it right here. Ta-da. Everybody, to get the book Faith in Politics. Now is a great time to catch up on your civic engagement in the city of New Orleans. We have a brand new administration, and it's time that we all, put our foot forward, make sure that we get involved, but we also teach our children and our family to get involved. I'd encourage each and every one of you to make sure that you are registered to vote. If you aren't registered to vote, you can do it online at sos.la.gov, as long as you have an ID from the state of Louisiana, that a good state ID. And I'd encourage you, next time you have your family event, say, hey, are all y'all registered to vote? Let's make sure you are. And that could happen at your next Mardi Gras family party or whatever. Next time y'all have red beans on Monday, everybody get together. Just make sure everyone is registered to vote. We do have some elections coming up. With regard to our state senate and reps, we have a lot of familiar names. You have a lot of, like I said, I'm a child of an elected official, so you have a lot of children of elected officials that are running in these races, and so it's kind of fun to see them step up and to see where the community is going to go. But I know Sid's running. I think Eugene Green's son is running. And who else? Ed Murray's son is running for different things. So that's fun to kind of see the next generation taking over, and that kind of goes back to the removing and replacing of generations in the city of New Orleans, and how the change is happening really in 2026, and you're going to see a flip. And so if y'all have been listening to me for a while, you will know that I've been saying the trickle, but the flood is coming. The flood is coming. Well, the trickle is over. The flood is here. We're going to be exhausted with information and things. Like the trailer of the movie, it is over. We about to get the feature film and get your popcorn and sit back and watch. So if you understand what's going on, you can sit back and watch. You shall not fear or be moved. But everything that can be shaken will be shaken. And it's about to flip, y'all. It's about to flip. So that's what's going on in the world. That's what God has his finger on. And that's what's going on in the city of New Orleans. Now we're going to get into a little bit of Carter business development and some small business tools and tips. I'm sure y'all will like these. If you are, this is 2026, right? A lot of people like to start businesses or kind of get reminded of why you did what you're doing, why you started your business. Because a lot of us get burnout. 2025 was heavy on a lot of us. You have a lot of people who are losing jobs. We just talked about that in the city of New Orleans and things like that. And so a lot of people say you need a job and a side hustle in New Orleans. Well, let's get your side hustle in order so, it can balance your job out. So hopefully we can retire you from your jobs. I feel like it's going to be a resurgence of small businesses in the city of New Orleans that's really going to help us get back on our feet. And so if we can get all of our stuff together, we can just be a stronger New Orleans. And especially, our smaller communities. I don't believe that we get enough attention. And so I have worked with larger businesses in the past. Clearly, I did business. I mean, I handled social media for the city of New Orleans. And so I just wanted to kind of get back to where I started with some small businesses and help with some tools. And so I said I was going to create some free tools, some tips and things like that. And then of course, we'll have stuff in workshops where, we'll be for pay, but it won't be, anything large, maybe like $25, $50, just depending on what type it is. But I'll try to keep things, very inexpensive. But of course, I'd have to take care of the place and the food or whatever else that came up. So that's why those things would be necessary. But I really want to make sure our small businesses in the city of New Orleans have as many tools at their fingertips that they can, because it's just going to make a difference. And so like if you want to plan an event, that was like the post I had yesterday, how to get your special event permit. I don't want you to throw something and get shut down or anything like that. So you want to make sure all of your things are in order. And so this is just little tips where if I put it in front of you, hopefully it can just guide you. So with that being said, I did drop a $30 small business mastery tool kit on Monday, and I'm really excited. I had a couple people who've already purchased it, and so I just want to make sure that it helps you move to the next level. And I put so many ordering because you want to sit there. You're like, yeah, I need to follow this checklist, but what? So I'm going to go through a little bit of what is in there. So just a little bit about Carter Business Development. Carter Business Development specializes in value-driven strategy, helping organizations or small businesses clarify their mission and long-term goals, organize your back office paperwork for certification, strengthen leadership and governance, deliver impactful messaging, social media, build sustainable community-centered impact, your brands, knowing exactly why you do and how people actually tap into you, and translate ideas into actionable plans that actually work. We don't just help you, we plan, we build, execute, and lead with purpose. And so I build programs depending on the small business. So I do have some general things that I do, but I really like to tailor it to your needs, because why are you going to pay for something you don't need, right? Right. So, with that being said, let me scroll down here because I put a list of services when I send you to it. So, the Small Business Online Workshop shops. Carter Business Development offers refined, results-driven online workshops. So this is what I've been working on now, as well as toolkit. I'm going to do individual workshops. It'll be, I got to figure out where I'm going to have them. And I was talking to somebody today, so that may be forthcoming soon, where I'm going to have them and how. And so even time, like what days do y'all work best for you? Because I was talking to a small business owner yesterday, and we were like setting up time to meet. And she's like, I can only really do late evenings. Is 8 o'clock okay with you? And I was like, yes, we can meet at 8 o'clock. We'll do a Zoom. I'll send you the link. And so if I need to do stuff that's later to make sure that, that meets the needs of the community, I'm all for that. I just need to know that that's what y'all are interested in, and then we will make it happen. And so some of the workshops that I've been working on are actually, I have all of these workshops written out with already the hands out and everything. So I have these ready for you and ready to go. But I'm working on the corresponding video to go with each one of them, because I just feel it's important that you can have a workshop to go to, but also if you're a busy person, if you wanted to like purchase a $25 workshop, that you could purchase it with the handout and you can walk through it by yourself. So I really listened to the things that you all have needed in these past couple months to try to make tools that will be very helpful. So some of the workshops I created, or I think it's five or six of them. So you want to start a business. This workshop is a foundational workshop that walks aspiring entrepreneurs through the essential steps of launching a business. Participants gain a clear understanding of required paperwork, registrations, and back office systems needed to operate legally, stay organized, and prepare for growth, funding, and certification opportunities. And why this is so important is because how you set up your business is vital. Even like how you register it with the state, which is like step one. Like, are you an individual LLC? Are you a corporation? Are you this? Like, how you register your business affects your taxes and things like that. So we don't want you to just go jump out there and on sos.la.gov and be like, oh, this is what I'm creating, and then just go do it. You need to understand. And if you have more of a complicated business, it may be something where you need to get an advice from an accountant before you go choose your business status like that, because you do not want to create it on the wrong foot and then have to go back and undo it. I've seen businesses that have had to do that, and it is not fun. So I want y'all to get it right on the front end so you don't have to go back and do any type of cleanup, because it's not fun. And I have a checklist, and I'll go over that in a little bit right after I hit through the worksheets. Um, the next workshop is Elevator Pitch 101. This is one that maybe because I come from communication, I thought it was, kind of naturally easy, but it is not. Some people have, just are uncomfortable standing in front of a crowd and delivering information. And a lot of times, you know exactly what you do, but delivering it in a short period of time is difficult. So I actually have a workshop and an interactive on how you can create your elevator pitch. And you really need, people don't even understand this, but you need a 10-second elevator speech, like 2 sentences. Like, what do you do? Like, people are coming and going, and the attention spans are short. So you need a 10-second elevator speech, you need a 30-second elevator speech, and you need a 60 and beyond. You need to understand your time limits and constraints when you're with somebody, and then know how to use them, because your elevator speech for in a networking situation compared to your elevator speech when you're going to the bank could be, or probably, two different things. And so you need to have these planned out and mapped out, because you want to know what you're going to say before you just go jump into the bank. Right? You need to have the expectation of the questions that they're going to ask you, and so you can be like pop pop pop, and so they're like, oh, they're together. I want to make sure I want to give them money, right? And so, Elevator Pitch 101. This workshop helps business owners clearly and confidently articulate what they do, who they serve, and why it matters. Participants learn how to tailor their message for different audiences, from networking events to investors and boardrooms, so their value is communicated with impact and confidence. And so, as I go through these workshops, these are some I created from information y'all gave me. And if there's something else you need that I don't talk about, please let me know. Write it in the comments, send me a DM, whatever, shoot a pigeon over here. Let me know what you need, and so I can create something for you. An example, I had someone in my DM a couple days ago asking about their occupational license. So I reposted how to get your occupational license. I said, these are the steps. You don't necessarily need me for that. And I said, but if you are the type of person where you don't have any time and you want somebody to do that for you, that is something I can take on. I said, but here, read these steps and see if it's something that you can do. Because I'm not just trying to take people's money. I want to make sure that, everybody can be independent in what they need. But if you do need somebody to help you through the process, I am here to help. So, social media 101. Well, as the former social media director for the city of New Orleans for 3 years, I think I can do this class. A strategic instruction to use social media as a business tool. This workshop focuses on selecting the right platforms, creating purposeful content, and using free digital tools to grow visibility, credibility, and brand awareness without being overwhelmed. And so my big thing is free digital tools. I like to show everybody the free stuff that works. Because even there are some platforms where you have to pay a certain amount, but they have some email platforms where up to 500 contacts is free. Like, we want to take advantage of those for people who are starting their businesses. I'm not going to tell you to go buy a $500 program when your business is just starting and you don't have an email database of 20 people. Well, let's use the free platform until you can move into those and then spend your money on that. I single mother syndrome. So I got divorced early in life. So single mother syndrome, you want to make sure that you're just using your finances constructively, especially in the beginning. The next workshop I have is business collateral and branding. So your collateral is like the things that you hand out. A guided review of existing business materials to assess effectiveness and alignment to what you want to do. Because sometimes what you say you want to do and like what you're handing out doesn't match. So we need to make sure that that it all matches. Participants learn how to refine messaging, strengthen branding, and ensure their collateral accurately reflects professionalism, clarity, and purpose. So your collateral is like your handouts, your business card. I can throw in your resume there. Any your online presence. What does that look like? It should all match. And a lot of times, for a lot of businesses, it does not match. And so we need to bring those into a cohesive space and make sure what you're giving out is compatible with what your business is. Let me give you an example. Like when I was running for mayor, I was doing we had a bike ride. Why would I go out there with collateral that was heavy? You know what I'm saying? That would have been, cumbersome for a bike ride. So for the bike ride, we got collateral business cards. I mean, we got our collateral was business cards. We gave out business cards with the information for the campaign. So that's something they could stick in their pocket easily, and it wasn't something cumbersome as we did the bike ride. So that's just a small like example of thinking forward with where you're going, where you're networking, and how you're moving. The next workshop is delivering the why. Why? Why do you do what you do? This is designed for business owners experiencing burnout or stagnation. This workshop helps participants reconnect with their purpose and passion. Through guided reflection and discussion, attendees rediscover their motivation and leave with renewed energy to move their businesses forward. Let me give you an example of, I hit the IG, sorry about that. Let me give you an example of the why. A great reason to deliver your why. Apple. Clearly, they are a global company, but guess what? People want to be a part of the Apple family. They don't care what product. Apple could come out with any product tomorrow, as long as it adapted to the iPad, the watch, the iPhone, the computer. All of those things work together. They have created like a family unit. Your why is you want to be a part of it, because Apple has nothing to do with computers, telephones, and the physical Apple has nothing to do with that. But people have bought into their why of being on the cutting edge and just needing to be a part of the network. So whatever they sell, people are going to buy and stand in line. And it really doesn't matter if they said this new phone attachment is $2,000. You would have a line of people just buying an attachment for $2,000. You know they would do it, and it's because they have delivered the why, and those people have bought in. So whatever Apple sells, they're going to buy it because they have bought into their why. And so my point in saying that is that's the point that you want to get with your clients and your uh, customers. You want them to buy into your why you do what you do. And so, do you even know why you do what you do? And are you delivering the why? So, we want to create that network within our own businesses. And so, you create like your own community, because when that happens, your customers start to grow the community for you. And then your business really grows and sees another level of growth. And so we want all of that for our businesses in the city of New Orleans, because I believe it's going to be our small businesses who are really going to take us to the next level. And the last workshop I created was Networking 101. One of my favorite things to do. So it's a practical workshop focused on intentional relationship building. Participants learn how to network with purpose, communicate value quickly, remember our elevator speech, and build meaningful connections that lead to real opportunities. Because we want some contracts. We're not doing this for nothing, right? We want to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So we want to maximize both time and effort. So that's what your Networking 101 is. Let me give you just a little free tip with Networking 101. Anyone that you meet at a networking event, by the time they get to the car and they've met you, you should already have sent them your information and like a business card. You can make a digital business card. And by the time they get to the car or leave, like before they hit their office, you should have, oh, it was great meeting you today. Here's my information, blah, 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 blah. Boom. They're going to remember those people. And so that's one of the things that I teach in Networking 101, just tips and things that I've learned throughout the years that have really worked well for me. And that is definitely one of them. I have a digital business card ready to send and to email to anyone at any time. And so I encourage each and every one of you that if you do not have a digital business card, to create one, as well as in your phone, create a new contact. Create a contact for yourself and create a contact for your business with all of the information, all of your business contact, email, website, social media sites, all of that. You should have your a contact in your phone, Carter Business Development and ABC. Da, 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 da. So if I'm somewhere and I just tap phones and here's the information, and people and have all your websites, your links, and all of that. With my Amazon book, with my podcast, and now with my Teachable workshops and things like that. So you need to have that ready to just deliver like that. And so I encourage each and every one of you to make sure you have that as well, because it's important, y'all. And when you are really organized like that, it really changes the game. So we're going to scroll down right now to, this is going to be for all of my new businesses and anyone who is thinking about starting a new business. This part is for you. So in the Mastery Toolkit, we have a startup checklist and resource guide. And so part one, I'm going to go through it quickly and just kind of one by one, so you can get an idea of what's going on. So if you're like, oh wait, she's talking about stuff I need, all of this stuff that I'm talking about now is in the Small Business Mastery Toolkit. So part one of the startup checklist: use this checklist to legally establish, organize, and prepare your business for growth, funding, and certifications. Because you want to make sure that when you get your back office in order and you get all of this paperwork, y'all, we just want to do it one time. We want to have it in a printed form, and we want to have it digitally. You want to have it in a zip file that you can just send out at any point in time and not have to think about it. So number one, clarifying your business foundation. That would be define your business idea, product, or service, identify your target customer and community served, choose a business name, and confirm availability. Decide whether your business is for profit or nonprofit. And people think these things are really minor, but your business name is so important. Depending on exactly what you want to do, people should understand what you do from your business name. Like, now, understand if there is an overarching business and then you have pieces underneath it, but people should be able to read your business title and know what you do. They shouldn't be confused. And if there's confusion, there's a problem. That means you didn't clarify your business foundation, and that was part one. Part two is choosing a legal structure in Louisiana. We are based in Louisiana. You would have to choose your own state, but I'm talking about Louisiana right now. Sole proprietorship, limited liability company, LLC. Like I say, are you an individual LLC? Corporation, nonprofit organization. Why this matters. I think I tapped into this a little bit earlier, but here we go. Your structure affects your taxes. And we already know we don't need no tax problems. So from Giddy Up, you need to make sure that your legal structure is correct, because we don't want no problems. So it affects your taxes, your liability, your funding eligibility, that too, and certifications. So there are certain things that are like, if you want certain type of grants, they are only offering nonprofit offerings. But with a nonprofit, you have to get your 501c3 from the federal government. That's a whole nother thing. If you have a limited liability like individual LLC, you do not need your 501c3. So and the liability would not be on you if someone were to sue you. If you had your own LLC, they would sue the business, but it would not affect you personally. So these are things that you need to know and conversations that you need to have. And I am not an accountant. I give you some information, but I offer that you go and get these checked out for yourself. Step 3 would be to register your business. Now, of course, I'm speaking for the state of Louisiana. That would be register your business with the Louisiana Secretary of State. That is sos.la.gov. That's obtain your charter number. They will give you that charter information when your paperwork is finalized from the Secretary of State, when they mail you back your information. You file your articles of organization and incorporation. That will come from them as well. And then register your trade name if you need to. And so that's something as well. And is it a trade that is just in the state of Louisiana, or is it across the nation? That's two different standards. And so you really need to know What's going on? Like, are you just functioning in the state of Louisiana, or do you think that you're going to grow? There are different levels of things that you need to do for each one of those. As well as next up, number 4, everybody has to do it. I made number 4 just straight. Get your federal EIN. Apply for your employer identification number. That's what your EIN. People be like, what's your EIN number? People are like, huh? It's kind of like your business social security number. That's your EIN number. And you get that through the IRS. And all of this stuff you can do online, and it's digitized right now. So this is a really just right now to start your business online sitting at your house. It's easy, and I have all the steps here for you. Your federal EIN is required for banking, taxes, hiring, certifications, and really everything that you do. Like I said, it's your business, like social security number, and you know how people use your social security number, so you need to do that when you get your when you start your new business. Your next step will be open a bank account. You would open a separate business checking account. Never mix personal and business funds. It is a no-no, and it will get you in trouble. It will get you in trouble. And then set up online banking and record keeping. So it's something where you can just go print your invoices and your statements. Well, I should say your statements every month, and make your life easy. So sure that you register that with your bank, and then register your information in your bank online so that you can get all of that information, because you, especially if you are starting a business and it's just like you or maybe one other person, you want to make getting your reporting and things as easy as possible. So when you like do your once a week and you sit down and you get all your stuff, that you can really put your fingers on anything and just have to like press print for a lot of it, where it's kind of doing the work for you. That's what we want, y'all. And here's a FYI: if you have not opened a business checking account, your bank will require your EIN and your articles of incorporation and like your operating agreement. Again, when you're going to get your business bank account, they will require your employee employment identification number, your EIN number, your articles, so the information you got from the state when you got incorporated, and your operating agreement. So that is paperwork that you will have to take to the bank to get your bank account, which is why I'm giving it to you in the order I'm giving it to you. So your next step, number 6, will be register for Louisiana taxes. Register with the Louisiana Department of Revenue and the Louisiana Workforce Commission. That's if hiring. You'll have different things depending on your business, so it will match appropriately. And then, of course, obtaining your New Orleans, your city licenses and permits. So depending on your business, you will need different things. And so I just had a resident ask me about an occupational license. If you're interested in that information, you can just go right back in the feed, because it is all there. I literally posted that yesterday, how to get your occupational license. So I posted that yesterday. You can go check it out. You will need to confirm your zoning requirements. If it's a home base versus a commercial business, there are different things and different things that you need. So you need to check that out. And you do need to apply for industry specific permits if required, depending on what your industry. And then my favorite part, setting up your back office. Yay! Create a system for invoicing and receipts, choosing basic bookkeeping software and methods. Like I said, some things are really helpful now, like even like Square accounts. I don't know if a lot of your small businesses are using Square. Like they print a lot of these things for you, which is very helpful, as well as PayPal, and just depending QuickBooks, depending on what you use and what you're comfortable using. But we want to make sure you keep track of your income and expenses weekly. Honestly, people say monthly, but depending on how much business you do, weekly is what you need to do. Keep digital and paper copies. We live in New Orleans. There could be a flood. You never know. And I do not say that lightly. You want to make sure you always have digital and paper copies. I do have I can't reach it right now, but a little bin, a little file cabinet that if I had to run out the house with all my business and personal information, like family information, I could. And so I want to make sure that you're able to do that with your businesses. And the last 2 are prepare for growth and certification. So once you have your business set up and all of those things, you want to make sure that you get connected to different contracting opportunities and get certified. And honestly, at the beginning, when you open your business, it is the easiest time to get certified, because you don't have a lot of information to give, because you haven't been open that long. So we want to maintain clean financial records, file taxes on time, track ownership control and management roles, and learn about DBE SLDBE and small business certifications. Y'all know I do that right here, but that is really necessary for your small business, depending on who you want to do business with. Like, say you're not doing business with government, but you want to do business with corporations. Like, say you have a gift basket business and you want to you want to do corporate giftings. So a lot of your corporations do use a scale with regard to MBE. So that's your minority business enterprise. They will get extra points from the federal government if they use a certain amount of MBEs. And so, or WBEs, it's women owned businesses. And so if you have that certification, then they can count you as their spend. But if you don't have the certification, then they can't count you as their spend. So they are looking for everyone that they can count as their spend. So it just gives you an added layer of insurance to really be able to get more business. And last but not least, from that section is build your professional presence. So create basic branding, your logo, your business description, set up your professional email, establish a social media presence, and prepare basic business collateral. A lot of those things you heard me talk about in the workshops that I created, because these are the things that I've really found that small businesses need the most. So here's a short kind of resource guide for some small businesses. The Louisiana Secretary of State, you would go to them for your business registration and filings. The Louisiana Department of Revenue, that's your state taxes. Louisiana Workforce Commission, that is your employer registration if you have employees. The LED, the Louisiana Economic Development, that is your small business programs. They can help you with a lot of funding and like a lot of stuff that you didn't even necessarily know that they did. They can help you with even connecting to opportunities that we don't know about, because a lot of time they will find out certain things clearly before us because they are with the state and be able to share that information. So you want to make sure you connect with the LAD and get connected to their certifications that they offer as well. And then the New Orleans resources would be the City of New Orleans one-stop shop, of course. That is where you get your occupational licenses and permits. We have the Office of Supplier Diversity, which is your SLDBE certification. And there are different agencies. Of course, they have the Office of Supplier Diversity in the City of New Orleans, but you can also get your certification through the RTA and through the airport and through the levy board, I believe. I don't know if they still do it. I need to check on that one for you. But when you can get it through the state agencies, if you do it once, you can get reciprocity with the city. And so that's what I suggest. If you're going to get your DBE certification, I'm not one of those people who like to reinvent the wheel more than once. I'm like, if you get your certification with the state, you take that paperwork, you give it to the City of New Orleans, and they basically say, oh, yep, check, done. If you went to the city first, that you'd have to go through the whole process, get approved. And then if you went to the state, you'd have to go through the process all over again and get approved. Why do it twice? Get a 2-for-1. You would get certified in Region 2 in the state, and then you would get automatic reciprocity and be certified in the City of New Orleans. So that's what I believe works best, because it just makes more sense. And right now is the beginning of the year. And if you have any service, like say you sell water, right? What do you need during these disasters? Water. What are they procuring in large amounts? So if you have a business or you have a service that the city or state could use, especially in disaster time, that is when a lot of your contracting goes a lot more quickly, because they have to be expedited. And so you want your name and your business to be in the mix when things like that are happening. So we want to make sure that we get your businesses straight and your name and your business can be in the mix. So when these disaster things happen, they'll call you. And even if you have a restaurant, like think about when we had the Hard Rock disaster, even during COVID, we reach out to a lot of restaurants to handle services for the City of New Orleans. We had to feed a lot of our employees throughout the City of New Orleans. And so we had that opportunity to be able to do that. And so I can actually speak on that, because when I got there, they had a contract with Piccadilly. And I was like, while, I'm not saying we don't appreciate Piccadilly, because I grew up on that, in the City of New Orleans, but we have so many small businesses who really needed our help. And, honestly, in my opinion, the food was better. And so we were able to partner with a lot of small businesses. We got some more fun food for our city workers, as well as put some money in our small businesses' pockets. So that's why we want to make sure that you're connected, because you really never know what the opportunity could be. And last but not least, the federal resources, like I said, the IRS, that's where you get your EIN and your federal taxes, and your Small Business Administration, that's your SBA. That's be loans, counseling, and the SBA has certifications as well. So what I'm doing right now, if you're just popping on, I'm going through the Small Business Mastery Toolkit that I released on Monday. It's only $30, and I'm actually still only at the beginning of it, y'all. It's crazy. It's 21 pages of information, but it's all the information that small businesses need really to make sure from start that you get your business foundation correct, so that you don't have to go back and fix anything, because I've had businesses that have had to do that, and I'm sure they wish that they would have gotten these checklists before, because it's not fun. And these last two pieces on this section is banking and financial readiness. We want to go through local banks and credit unions, SBA approved loans, and the community development financial institutions to make sure that we get your paperwork together. So when you go to these institutions, it's really just kind of breezing through, because you already know what they're looking for. So we want to make sure that you're prepared before you go in, with the paperwork, as well as being able to deliver your needs and what your requests are. And then, of course, last but not least, education and support. That's where I come in. Carter Business Development offers strategic planning and business development. You can also join your local chambers. We have a New Orleans chamber. We have a regional Black Chamber of Commerce, and we have a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. If you did not know that, now you know. And so you have all of these groups where they offer networking and things like that. I don't believe personally that New Orleans does a great job of networking. And so maybe that's something that we can work on. Maybe we'll have some events and kind of grow that with different communities in New Orleans. I think they do. They may feel like they do a good job with the community that they are working with, but I don't feel like they really trickle down to your everyday small business owner and meet their needs. And I'll leave it like that. And then final reminder on that part is starting a small business is not just about the idea. It's about the foundation. Organization, compliance, and clarity create access to opportunities, funding, and long-term success. So that is our small business checklist, is in our Small Business Mastery Toolkit. Now we're going to go to our next session in the toolkit, and is our mastery guide, discovering your why. And so I put parts of the workshop information into here to really kind of everything I went over earlier with all of those workshops. I put pieces of those in here to kind of give you a full encompassing information with regard to your needs for a small business. So I went into discovering your why. So let me give you just reflection questions, because when you start your small business, you get just a lot of people get worn out in the day to day. You're like, oh my gosh, they were like, entrepreneurship is really the walk with God, because you really have to trust him, and it is. And so I want to just encourage people that if you already, have a business and you're just feeling overwhelmed and you start in 2026, I'd like to offer these questions to you. Why did you start your business? And like write it down, like journal it. What motivates you today? What motivates you today can be different than what motivated you when you started. You may have had to start because you needed funds, and now you do it because you love it. Well, or it could be flipped. You may have started because you love it, and now you're doing it just because you got to, pay Peter and Paul need to meet. And so when you really understand those things, you can kind of get back to what your needs are and kind of release some of that weight of a small business owner to really help grow. And so your action step would be to journal kind of what your why is, your personal why is, kind of bring it back for you. Identify burnout and misalignment. Oh, wait, it skipped too far. Identify burnout and misalignment. Common sources are overworking, unclear goals, misaligned values, lack of systems, and insufficient delegation. I know a lot of owners who like to do all the work for everybody, but you cannot do that if, like, say you have a restaurant type business, you cannot be everywhere. And so, if the goals of the employee aren't clear, maybe that's why they're not getting the job done, the way that you want it, because maybe you didn't give a clear framework for what they actually want to do. Like, you're like, why won't this work? Well, sometimes it's not necessarily they just don't know what you want them to be doing. And so you need to get your goals clear and create a system so that everybody can work well together. So that's also something I would really suggest for 2026. Kind of get realigned, make sure your systems work well. What did you do well and what was a struggle, and how can you streamline those struggles to put them on the easy list? I'm going to kind of go through these like quickly, just so you know what is in here, so you can tap in if you need it. Branding and collateral evaluation, like we were talking about in the workshop. Business cards, brochures, flyers, social media graphics, website, presentation decks. That's another one. I really suggest all of my small business has, even if it's like 3 or 4 pages, just a presentation deck that you have in your phone that you can email to someone immediately. You never know where a contact is going to become. You could be in the grocery store, but if you're sitting in line and you need to send somebody your deck for your business, then you can have it ready and available. And it just makes you feel better, like a business owner, that you have all of these things in your fingertips. So I really encourage you to do those things, because you need to make sure that, is your messaging clear? Is it compelling? You want to give everyone an actionable, uh, an actionable I'm trying to think, a post. Like when you're doing social media, yes, they're reading that, but what is the next step? Everything you're giving them should be a next step to something that they need to do. Is the next step calling? Is the next step committing to a package? Is the next step purchasing a book? Is the next step sending an email? Whatever that next step is for you, is that next step uh, registering for something? Is the next step, I don't know. Let's see, confirming a date for a meeting. Of course, that's definitely a next step that we want for many people. But those are things that we really need to understand, that your branding and your collateral need to be. You didn't just pay for this collateral for nothing. You want them to go do something with it. So what's the next step? You want them to call you, interact with you, and of course, ultimately do business with you. Let me skip. Reconnecting to your passion with daily operations. Prioritizing tasks aligned with your mission. Delegate or outsource non-essential work. Set micro goals tied to long-term vision, and infuse purpose into client interactions, content, and marketing. So this is a little bit what we were talking about earlier, but it's actually putting it to where you're actually working it out. And so the one I'll kind of pick from here is setting the micro goals tied to long-term vision. I think now is the perfect time to do that, because we're starting 2026, right? Hello, 2026. That's what we're here talking about in episode 42 of Faith in Politics. And so if you can tie, like, what do you want to do with your business this year? And so if you create 12 micro goals, then you can apply each one of those goals to the 12 months of the year. And maybe it's something that you finish early, but at least by doing that, you can see them, and you can save them in your phone for each month and get a regular, reminder of it. And so that really does help keep you on mission and in your purpose. And so accountability follow-up, identify and have an accountability partner. Sometimes that may be me. If you do need business development services, I can definitely help you with that. But as well, it might be just someone in your internal organization that you create that with. But there are different business owners have different strides, I'll put it that way. And so if you're one of those people who needs a little extra oomph and a little extra help sometimes, it may be good to find an accountability partner for 2026, just to keep you aligned with your goals. And of course, next steps could always be tapping in with me. I'm going to scroll down, because like I said, we have 21 pages of information for this. The next section is elevator pitch framework. And of course, I talked about your elevator 101. But in your elevator pitch, you want to say who, what, and who for. So I'm going to give you the first scenario and give you some examples of elevator pitches, like 3 different ones for New Orleans businesses, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So elevator pitch framework could be, I help whomever, like who do you serve, do What is the problem you solve so they can what's your desired result? And so that's sentence one. Sentence two should be what makes my business different is what makes you different? What's your unique approach? What's your impact? What's your differentiator? Which results in the clear benefit. Because what people want is how is this going to help me? That's all they want. That's why they're coming to your business. How is this going to help me? Is it like, say you sell cheesecake? This is going to soothe my sweet tooth. This is going to get you where you need to be. It's going to give you a sugar rush. That's what you want. This is going to do it. Like, from business, from food to, tire service. This is going to be the quickest tire service, an oil change that you can get. It is da 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 da, and this is how we do it. So let me give you an example of the two sentence where you can understand and be like very direct. A service business. Here's an example for them. I told you I'm gonna give you 3 examples. I help New Orleans homeowners prepare their properties for city inspections so they avoid fines and delays. My background in local codes help clients pass the first time and save money. That's an example of your business elevator pitch for the 10-second. I'm giving examples of the 10-second ones right now. Because like I said, for your elevator pitch, you should have a 10, a 30, and a 60 plus. You should be able to adjust accordingly. So let's say you have a restaurant or a food business. Here's an example of that. I help small food vendors turn recipes into licensed food businesses by navigating Louisiana health and permitting requirements. My clients go from home kitchen to market ready faster and legally. So that is a business who help small business vendors go from their house to an actual storefront. And so that is their 2 seconds. I help small business vendors turn recipes into licensed food businesses by navigating Louisiana health and permitting requirements. My clients go from home kitchen to market ready faster and legally. And my last example is a faith and community based example. And I love the Lord, so here's one for that. I help churches, nonprofits organize their programs and paperwork so they can qualify for funding and partnerships. I focus on clarity, competence, and community impact. So see how concise these are, literally 2 sentences. And so that's what we want to do. We want to get your business down to 2 sentences that you know and you can just deliver off the cuff and it rolls off your tongue. That's what you need for your business. Next step would be New Orleans business ecosystem. So in New Orleans, like I said, I don't think we do the best job of networking in New Orleans, but of course we need to get back to that as well. Make sure you hit these up. But this is something we said earlier, the Secretary of State, the One Stop, certifications and contracting, SLDBE, LAUCP, that's your Louisiana Unified Certification Program. And that's what I was talking about, going through the state of Louisiana and then getting reciprocity with the city. A lot of people don't know that exists, but that's what you want to do. And so with your elevator pitch, I know we were talking about that. Here's where you'll use them mostly, but of course you'll use them everywhere. And I encourage you to practice them on your family and friends, networking events, city or state procurement meetings. Once you finish all of the business checklist and get your business finished, you want to get in connection with the procurement offices for the city of New Orleans, the state. Let's say you want to do business with a charter system in New Orleans. You want to meet their procurement people, or Entergy, or Coke, or Apple, or Microsoft, whomever they are, the people who are going to decide if they're buying or purchasing from you or not, or making the decision. You want to be their friends and you want to get on their list. And so we want to make sure that you use your elevator pitches to do just that. You'll also need your elevator pitches for banks and lenders. A lot of small businesses, sometimes it may be uncomfortable to go sit in the bank. You feel like you got to, put all your stuff on. But when you are prepared, it really flows a lot easier. Grant interviews, a lot of nonprofits, you do have to have one-on-one grant interviews once you roll through the process. So you want to be able to deliver the information, as well as community meetings, faith-based or nonprofit partnerships. We want to go out and network and tell people what you do and let them know. And so on here, I also have some practice exercises so you can do your own elevator pitch. And all of this, again, all of this information is in my $3 plan. It is Small Business Mastery Toolkit, and it is in the link in my bio on IG and TikTok. So, hey, y'all, go get it right now. My last, is this one of my last ones? No, I think I have another one after this. Oh, no, I have two more sections of the small business toolkit. And I actually really want to hit them both just so y'all can get something out of this. So what we started with starting the business. And so now I'm giving you some close the deal tips. So your objective is to learn how to prepare, present, and close partnership opportunities with local, state, and federal organizations, nonprofits, and agencies. So your key principles for closing the deal, I'm just going to go through the principles. I'm not going to go through the whole worksheet because I have an interactive worksheet for each and every one of you through this, but I'm just going to go through the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the 8 steps kind of for the key principles to closing the deal. And they are: number 1, be personable. Relationships are your foundation. Business is a business of relationships. So as you grow, you want to build your relationships and keep just communications with people. So being personable is very important. If you're having a bad day, they should not know you're having a bad day. Let's put it that way, especially when you're trying to close a deal. And if you are unsure or uncertain, they should not know that either. You want to make sure you're personable and that you kind of keep you calm, keep you calm. Y'all love this one because I feel like I say it all the time, but it's the truth. Always have your 60-second elevator speech ready. When closing the deal, of course, the 10 or 30-second is not going to be the one that you go for. You're going to be going for your 60-second or longer one. So you really need to know what that 60-second elevator speech looks like, and it needs to be designed for the person that you're speaking to. That final action item is going to be different in each scenario that you're in. The next one, number 3, would be build from relationships. So don't start from scratch. Leverage your existing connections. We are from Louisiana. Hey, big Louisiana. Oh, speaking of Louisiana, hey, we are from Louisiana. We're from New Orleans. New Orleans is a big little city, and so lots of people know everybody. Y'all, we have like 1 degree, 2 degrees of separation. So we want to say use those relationships and use those connections from the people you do from high school. You know, the people you went out with, or the people you're in an organization with. Use those relationships and build from those. Do not be scared to kind of reach out. They should be the first people that you kind of test it out on. So once you have your business and your elevator speech ready, test it out on some of your friends from high school and be like, hey, let me know if you would purchase from me or whatever. Of course they should anyway, right? But test it out on them, family and friends and things of that nature, your children, the people around you. Because you need to articulate your vision clearly. If you don't know what you do and why you do, then why should they purchase it from you? And so we need to make sure, hey, thank you. We need to make sure that we are articulating our vision correctly so that we can close the deal. And so we're rounding this out with some key principles for closing the deal because it's necessary. I don't want y'all to just start the business. I want y'all to have some contracts coming in. We want to remain flexible, but never abandon our core values. Go in when you're closing a deal of these are my negotiables and these are my non-negotiables. And so it is what it is. This is the red pill, this is the blue. If it's a negotiable, that's something you'll have a discussion for. But if it's a non-negotiable, then it just is what it is. Every contract and every person do business with, it may not be for you, and it is okay to step away. There are times where you may have to. And so just prepare yourself for that as well, because sometimes no means no, and you need to deliver a no. Research partnership possibilities. That is one of my things. I was actually having a conversation with somebody who wants to do some social media development. And so that was my to do for them. I said, by the end of the week, I want you to research 10 places that you could do business with or you could see yourself partnering with. And so you really need to know what people's missions are and why they do what they do, because you don't want to get into a contract and realize, like, I don't want to be working with these people, because at that point you've kind of created a marriage in your business relationship. And so you can't get out of it, especially if you're in a contract. So you want to research all of the opportunities for the good and negative, and research them, look them up in the Better Business Bureau, or look them up and see who they've done business with and how it has worked out for those people in the past, because you do not want to be the guinea pig. And the last 2 steps are always ask for the next step. Like I said, always ask for the actionable until the check clears the bank, until the invoice clears. Like, always ask for the next step until you get there. period. And follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up consistently. You want to stay on it to make sure that their needs are met. And so next in the toolkit, I kind of go through some interactive pieces with regards to that. And I'm going to kind of scroll down. Oh, well, with this part, they say identifying potential partners. I did put a short list of some local and regional organizations that could be helpful for you. Let me give them to you. GNO Inc., that Greater New Orleans Inc., they act as a networking connection point for the region. So that is always a good a place to connect with regard to your business. The City of New Orleans, of course, Idea Village, New Orleans Startup Fund, Propeller, Louisiana Small Business Development Center, 50 Forward, the Port of New Orleans Airport. These are just some ideas I'm throwing out there. Even Audubon, depending on what your business does, energy. Look at Caesars, the Pelicans, the Saints. Look at some of our larger industries and see if your business can meet a need. And actually, the Pelicans and the Saints are looking for a social media manager right now. It's funny. I was like, oh, I can't go backwards, but that would be fun. And some statewide organizations, like I think I told you these earlier, is the Louisiana Economic Development, that's the LED, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And like I said, we have a New Orleans Chamber of Commerce, and we have a regional Black Chamber of Commerce. So if you did not know those are ways that you can connect and join those groups if you want to. And of course, the federal agencies and programs, the U.S. Small Business Administration, that's called the SBA, the Minority Business Development Agency, the MBDA. I actually worked with them when I was at the Louisiana Minority Development Supplier Development Council. My grant was through the Minority Business Development Agency, and so they have some good programs through there. So I encourage people to reach out to them. And then that is just some more interactive paperwork or interactive steps that are with some of the things I spoke about. And last but not least, in the Small Business Mastery Toolkit is your checklist for all certifications. What I did was I researched, of course, the DBE certification, but your MBE certification is your minority business enterprise, and your WB is your women business enterprise. And those two certifications will be for your corporates. So your DBE, your disadvantaged business enterprise, would be to do any business with the City of New Orleans or your regional, your local business, your local government, and then the state. So you need your DBE to work with the governments, and then your MBE and your WBE would be for corporate. And so really quickly, I did a whole show on that, episode 40. I did a whole episode strictly on that. So it was 1 hour. So if you missed it, that is a great chance for you to just follow it. Like I said, I was going to give some free information away. I did a whole DBE certification. Now, it is long and lengthy. If you need help with that, you can always reach out to me with Carter Business Development, and I will help walk you through the process. It can be overwhelming, but I try to make it not. And then what I do through this process is I get your back office in order. I digitize all of your paperwork, and then I put it into like a zip drive with everything named and at your fingertips. So no matter what you do. And I had a client who I did it for, and at first they didn't think it was a big deal. They were like, you don't know how much this has saved my life on so many occasions. I was just able to open it and give them the information they look for. I said, comes in handy when you don't think you need something. It's that back pocket insurance. And then you always look very, put together. And that's what we want for our businesses, for you to be just ready to take on the world. So with your certification, of course, with Carter Business Development, I offer one-on-one coaching to access eligibility and certification readiness, strategic guidance through DBE and SLDB application requirements, templates, checklists, and scripts to support documentation and follow-up. And last but not least, workshops focusing on compliance, recertification, and contract readiness. So if you need any of my services, you can email me at carterbusinessdev@gmail.com. And all of this is in all of my posts. So you don't have to write it down right now, or you can. But all this information is in my post. And so really quickly, I'm going to go through the checklist, and then I'm going to let y'all go for the night, because this was longer than I thought, but it's really important that we get all of the small business information out there for our businesses. So the checklist for our small business certification is Number one, a notarized affidavit of certification, and that's your SLDBE application Schedule B, or your MBE application, or your WB application, which would be signed by each owner. Your proof of your DBE status by the U.S. Small Business Administration in the Department of Transportation, that is your unified DBE certification. Like I said, get it through the state. If you get it through the state, it goes through your Department of Transportation, if you didn't know. So that would be where it went through. And that's why you would get it through RTA or the airport, because these are transportation agencies. Ding, right? But I like to give you all the information so you know what I'm talking about. Because people be like, I'm like, oh, I remember that girl said that. Yeah. For certification, you also need your articles of incorporation. Like I said, you get that when you start your business from the state of Louisiana. A letter of good standing from the Louisiana Secretary of State each year that you have to pay your fees. And so you need to be in good standing. So if you did not know that you need to pay fees yearly for your business, and it's only like $30, $40, then make sure you do that and go catch up on those payments. Corporate bylaws, or your LLC operating agreement, an organizational agreement, current license to business in Louisiana, example, your occupational license from the city of New Orleans, a copy of any trade licenses held by the firm or the firm owners. You would need a list of all business names previously used by any other owner. Like, say you purchased the company from someone else, then you would need what it was called before. Membership certificates, those are for LLCs only. Your member ownership options or agreements between members, any agreements you have, because with DBEs and all of these certifications, they need to know who owns what. And so the certifying person, like say it's the disadvantaged business, so they need to know that 51% of the company is run by the person who is claiming to be disadvantaged. So they need to make sure that that person is making the decisions and it's not somebody else who's guiding the company. They want to make sure it's actually happening in the way that you're saying it's happening, and it's running that way. They're also going to be looking for a list of all persons in the firm currently working for any other businesses, which has a relationship with the applicant firm. They need a business balance sheets. They need business income statements, notes payable, signed copies of federal business tax returns for the last 3 years. Bank account signatures, cards, and resolution for the primary business bank account. They want to make sure the person who is being certified that your signature is actually the one on the bank account, that you're the one who's running the business. Your documents reflect each owner's share of profits and losses. Documents indicating the initial and subsequent capitalization of the firm by the owner. Certificates of title for all equipment. Like if you have a construction company and you have some equipment, they want to make sure that all of the equipment is owned by the company correctly. The certificates of title, copies of any loans or lines of credit that the business or the firm has gone through, confidential statements relative to each denial of business loan or business line of credit. If you had any denial, they want to know about it. Confidential statements are relative to each denial of business opportunity or unfair treatment against the business. If you've had any large complaints, they want to know about that. Documentation confirming disability of the DBE owners. Like, let me give you an example. If you are a veteran and you are a disabled veteran, your certification status is actually above the regular veteran. So the top of the certification status is a disabled veteran, and then you have your veteran, and then you kind of go from there. But that's why that information is important. The WEBEC user agreement, that's if you were to get your women owned. So I said all of this is a compilation of the DBE, the WB, and the MBE. So if you can get all of this stuff, you can do anything. The history of the business personal account, when, where, why, whom, and how the business was started and acquired. The copying of opening balance sheet or opening bank statement. List of all full and part-time employees with name, position, length of service, and or hire date. itemized payroll for the prior month, depending on when you are sending in your application. Member list with titles. If you have a board, you need your member list. Schedule of advances made to the company by any other member during the preceding 3 years. If you loaned your company any money, or if someone loaned the business money, they want to know that. They want to know your contract work for the past 3 years and your proof of bonding capacity. If you do any type of construction work, of course, you're going to know you need bonding capacity. And last but not least is the owner's checklist. So all of the things I spoke of just now were the business needs. Now the owner has to do their own checklist, and that would be signed copies of their federal personal tax returns for the past 3 years, including W-2s, 1099s, anything like that, a personal financial statement of less than 90 days. So it has to be recent. And if you start this process and then you don't, and you do your personal statement and then you don't finish it till the end of the year, well, guess what? You need a new one because it has to be in 90 days. A resume, copy of your picture ID, proof of citizenship, and personal experience that supports the company's mission. And so last but not least, that is the checklist for your certification. I know that was a lot, but the reason why I went through all of that and the reason why I encourage people to get certified on the front end when they start their business is because some of these things you won't have because the business is newer, which actually works out in your favor because it's less paperwork that you have to do. So I'm like, I encourage people to get certified earlier in their business, especially if it's anything, a service that could help a government agency or a corporation. I really encourage you to get certified on the front end of your business so that it's just a lot less paperwork. It just is what it is. I've learned some tricks of the trade, and so I wanted to share it with you. So that's a little bit about what I have going on. Like I said, I missed y'all toward the end of the year, but I was doing a lot of work and a lot of creating all of these workshops and these tools and ideas for these small businesses that I really thought would be able to help you. I've listened in these last couple months, and I was like, you know what? Let me just make some small business tools so people can get the help that they need and really deliver it at price points that are really helpful. I've been a small business. I am a small business, and I've had to start and stop. Of course, having worked at the city of New Orleans, and I had to start again, and then I got blown away to Ida, had to come back and start again. So I understand the ups and downs of starting a business, and just maybe getting the burnout and having to start back again and really remembering your why. So I offer that to each and every one of you. Never give up, especially if you have this on your heart and you really enjoy what you do. I believe we should enjoy what we do in life and really deliver those things and help people where we can. And so that's what I offer to do with Carter Business Development. So if you are interested in any business development help, please reach out to me and let me know. I would love to help you and just walk you to contract and some fruition where to get some money in everybody's pockets because it is not coming the way that we thought. You used to think that you could just a lot of people used to do business with the city of New Orleans, and as you see, that's been strained, and they will have a lot of downsizing. And so when we can work together in our community, we can be stronger. And if we all have businesses that are solid, who gonna stop us and who gonna check us? So we want to make sure you're connected to the business, the opportunities, and we want to make sure that you're prepared for the opportunities when they arrive, because that sucks the most, to be able to do something and then just not have your paperwork in order to be able to accomplish the mission or be able to accept the opportunity. I've had some people who've been in that situation too, and I just want to make sure you're not one of them. I want to make sure that you have all of your paperwork in order so that you can deliver your service to the best of your ability, and you don't have to run around just being overwhelmed. So with that, I'm going to close out the show. I just thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, this is Faith in Politics, and this is Hello 2026, because we want to get ourselves in order for 2026. And if you ever missed a show, you can always tune in to Apple, YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Music, Podbean player, FM, Listen Notes, Podchaser, and Boom Play. We are there. The holiday hiatus is over, so I will be here on a more regular basis, delivering information to you, and I will also be growing with the information and the feedback that you all give me. I just want to thank you so much for just really embracing me and Carter Business Development and the small business ideas that I have, as well as a lot of people know me from politics, because I want to make sure each and every one of you understand what's going on in New Orleans. We need to be better referees from afar, and we can't be better referees if we do not know the rules of the game. So I wrote a book to make sure that you can know the rules of the game. The book is only $15. If you don't have the book, you need to get the book. And you need to buy one for a friend, because it's really that the information, I believe, is that instrumental with just kind of knowing the basics, civics 101 of how New Orleans works. It also has information with how to do business on the local, state, and national levels and federal levels. So that information is in here as well. So it's a nice resource of tools for everything. If you want to get the book directly from me, you can Cash App it at Faith in Politics. It is $15. Of course, the book is available on Amazon, so it is there right now. If you want to buy the book in bulk, I've had a couple people ask me about that. Then you can reach out to me directly, and I can get you some bulk prices depending on the amount of books that you want. But I am here to help, and so all of the books are. It's just it's once you read it, you're like, oh, aha. Like, just for an example, the city council and all of the information is based on our city charter in New Orleans. So it's all like by the book. And so once I read the city charter of New Orleans, I realized that the city council has an investigative authority. And I'm like, what? So they have investigative authority and they just didn't use it. Well, they used it for the communication director of the city of New Orleans, but they did not use it for the budget, which I think is interesting, because I'm like, we know you have the ability. We know you have the ability. We've seen you use it, and you can request documents and anything else that you wanted to request. And so you did it from the communications department of the city of New Orleans, but you did not do it for the budget. And now we are 160 million. And while I'm not laying it just at their feet, I'm just saying that they are active participants in the problems that we have in the city of New Orleans. And so now you have a lot of that leadership who is moving into other leadership positions in the city of New Orleans. And so I wish New Orleans the best. I know that the Lord has some cleansing going on, and so it will be a tough year. Lots of things will be popping out. But you also reap what you sow. And so they were there sowing a lot of this. So now they're reaping it. And so it just is what it is. It is what it is. So thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you, and let's go change the world and get our businesses together. So who's going to check us when our business together? No one. Okay, thank you so much, y'all. This is Eileen, and I am out. Bye. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in, YouTube. I appreciate you so much. We're out.